What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA Show with me, myself, Huzefa, and your boy, Justin Guitar Hero Janes.
Sure.
We are back at it on that grind as per usual. So if you guys are joining, welcome. A lot of fun stuff to talk about from the weekend and actually stuff that's upcoming as well. And the first thing I thought we could chat about was this Rose Namajunas win, which was pretty cool. She won against Amanda Ribas. And I thought we could dive into there first. But before we jump in, Justin, how are you? Do you have anything that you want to share or talk about?
No, not really, man. I did some commentary over the weekend for Tough Enough. Saw a lot of, future stars shooting through the ranks. It was really great to see, Rose Namajunas, man. What an incredible fight, man. She really put on a clinic. I really only feel she made one mistake when she got caught in that headlock in the fourth round. But besides that, she looked clean. She looked great. Let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, she looked really good. So I heard a couple people. I watched the fight on Saturday night. I watched it live. I thought it was a really cool fight. I heard a couple people felt like Amanda Ribas won, but it was very much in the minority. I think that
People
it by
thought Amanda Ribas won. Oh my
a
gosh,
couple
people
a
are my
couple
crack.
couple random tweets, I think it was fans. I think it was really fans, to be honest. Nobody actually thought, like no commentators actually thought that Rose lost. So yeah, I saw that occasionally, but overwhelmingly people thought Rose won, I think definitively and decisively. Yeah. And it's pretty
Yeah,
cool when
I
you
agree.
hear,
Anybody
yeah,
that thinks that Amanda Ribas won that fight, I think is on crack because I had it scored 4-1 going into 4-1 at the end. I mean, maybe they're just diehard fans of Amanda Ribas. I bet
I
they're
think so.
Brazilians. I'm sure there's no American or there's no anybody with any credibility thought that Ribas won.
Now, one thing that was really amazing, I thought, was after the fight, Ribas was just such in such good spirits. I saw some footage of her even after her Octagon speech after the fight, and she has like the most positive, amazing attitude that I've ever seen. She was like, "All right, well, that's it. I tried to do my best. I'm gonna come back and do better next time. Thank you guys so much." And she was just like happy-go-lucky. When I see things like that, when I see fighters act so positive in spite of this massive defeat, which I'm sure was a big deal for her, that is one of the most inspirational things about the sport. That's what makes the sport what it is and as powerful as it is. So, anyways, what do you see next for Rose Namajunas in this division? Where do you see her going next?
I think she's going to get a top five fight. I think Ribas was ranked number seven going into this fight. I thought she beat her relatively handily. I think she gets a top five, maybe even a top three, fight, and see how she does there. And unfortunately, I don't think it's Rose's. It's not her physical ability where that's going to hurt her. It's her mentality. You know what I mean? She's very, very strong mentally, and I'm not trying to take that away from her. But she's not shown up a couple times. When she fought Carla Esparza, arguably one of the most boring fights I've ever seen in
Mhm.
MMA. She just didn't show up that night. So, the sky's the
Yeah.
limit for Rose. She's the former champion. I think her physical attributes are incredible. She's very, very gifted. She's very, very strong. She's a very, very good fighter. But we just need some consistency with her showing up. As long as she shows up, like I said, the sky's the limit for her.
Right. And I'm just gonna quickly look up the date of her last fight, her time between. Yeah, so Carla Esparza, she lost there, and then she lost again in September to Manon Fiorot. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That was her flyweight debut, and so now she's back into the win column after 2 losses. So that's amazing. And then what do you see? Do you see her making a viable championship run in this division at flyweight?
She's gonna have. I think if she wins two more fights, she'll be in championship contention. I hate it when former champs go up a weight class and they feel since they are the champ at the lower weight class that I only need to win one fight and I should get a title shot. I really don't think that is. Ribas definitely standing next to Rose. There was a significant size difference.
Mm.
And I could definitely see the size difference as soon as the fight started. Now you take someone from a championship caliber going up a weight class. I don't see Ribas as a title contender. She's still doing elementary school moves like that headlock, which I'm losing my mind when I see a world class athlete go for a middle school move. It drives me nuts. Not only did she do it once, not twice, but three or four times, and she did have success with it finally in the fourth round. But it just drives me nuts when we're talking about you guys are supposed to be the best in the world and you're doing moves that should not and don't work at a high level. That's why Rose was able to take her back so easy. And, and that was another thing, Rivas would go for that headlock. She'd end up on bottom. She'd stay on bottom the whole time. Then she'd stand up and throw her arms in the air. It's just like, you need some urgency. Like, it felt like Rivas was trying not to lose. You know what I mean? And I felt like she was content with losing to a decision, because never during the whole fight did I ever feel that she was urgent. She's trying to win. Oh, I'm behind on the scorecards. Fuck. Even in the fourth round, she lost 1, 2, and 3, in my opinion. She won the fourth. Like, she wasn't looking to finish. She wasn't looking to threaten, any submissions. I don't know. It just was weird. I felt Rivas was in there content losing by submission. And I just didn't feel she was really trying to win. Like I said, we give her a step up in competition against a real a hungry 125er, and that'll tell the tale of the tape.
Right on. All right. Well, that was a great fight and a great breakdown, by the way. So that was awesome. And let's move on to the next event. So throughout this week and next week in the upcoming weeks, as we lead into UFC 300, we're going to start to preview some of this extremely dense card. It is the best card of all time. Whatever people want to say about the disappointment for maybe whatever they want to say, the depth of the card is insane. Now, this fight, Renato Moicano versus Jalen Turner, I mean, really both exciting fighters. Jalen Turner, amazing striker, had that incredible win over Bobby Green recently. Renato Moicano just coming off a win. And he is funny, dude. If you listen to his YouTube channel or hear him on Ariel Helwani's show on the MMA Hour he was on today, he's great, man. I love this guy. So this is a really awesome match. And believe it or not, it is on the early prelims, not even the prelims. So early prelims, which is wild. But that's how stacked this card is. So we're going to start previewing some of these. So anyways, I wanted to turn it over to you first. Obviously, I think Moicano is going to have that grappling advantage. What do you see going down with Jalen Turner, especially him coming off a win, Moicano coming off a win? What do you foresee in this matchup?
Man, this is a great matchup. It's a matchup I'm really looking forward to. We're talking about Moicano as such a high-level grappler, man. This guy can twist you up like a pretzel. You look at the other hand, you got a long, great, incredible striker of Jalen Turner. Can Jalen Turner use his jab and his straight punches to keep Moicano off him? I mean, I really think that's what's going to come down to this fight. Jalen Turner has some like 90-inch reach. It's freaking insane. For his weight class. It's not 90 inches, but it's a huge reach. I think his striking is so crisp. And when we're talking about high-level, long, rangy strikers, Jalen Turner has to be brought up into the conversation. He has such a great straight jab, a great straight jab cross, man. I think Jalen really has to be in and out on this fight. I think he really has to play his distance, because he does not want to get put into the cage against the opposition, because I feel that's where his opposition is going to have the most success.
So his nickname, I didn't even know this. His nickname is the Tarantula. And I did check his reach. It's not 90 inches, but it is pretty long. It's 75.5 inches. And he's 6'3". So for the weight class, he's huge. I've heard that he's got quite a bit of weight to cut during that. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of his.
Surprised, to be honest. I thought he had at least a 78-inch reach. But okay. I mean, still, I thought he had at least a 78-inch reach, but even at 75 inches, man, that's such a long reach. The thing about for me fighting a lightweight, I have a 67-inch reach. So just to give you an idea, of the wingspan of this guy, like 75 inches is freaking long. Again, I thought it was longer, but still 75 inches is incredible.
Okay, I'm going to compare it to Renato Moicano's reach. He's actually 5'11". I didn't know that. And his reach is 72 inches. So definitely a reach advantage. Not crazy, but he's definitely got a reach advantage. Well, I'm excited for this fight. And I'm a big fan of Jalen Turner in terms of just his striking. I like Money Moicano as well, just in terms of more personality. But this is going to be a really interesting fight. And just FYI, again, this is early prelims. When I do my party for UFC 300, right? Usually I'm starting the party at 6. The main event starts at 7. I'm going to do this all day. So I'm going to sit down from the get-go and watch the entire thing. I cannot wait. And and the first fight, which we haven't even talked about yet, which we will, by the way, I think the first fight is Cody Garbrandt, which is bizarre, against Davidson Figueiredo. So it just tells you how deep and amazing UFC 300 is, like a full day of fights after fights. So yes, very cool. Now, the next topic is, I know one that probably you're not crazy about, but I felt like we had to talk about it because everybody's talking about it. And I wanted to touch back on what exactly is going on with Conor McGregor's return. So I want to give you some updates because you may not know. I know you don't follow this stuff like I do, but I'm watching everything over the weekend. So for the recap, we've had McGregor on the press tour announcing that he is coming back. He wants a summer return, and he says it's already done. Oh, Western Mass Climber said Jalen Turner is at 77-inch reach. I went on Tapology, so maybe that's correct. Maybe it is a 77-inch reach, more akin to like what you were thinking, by the way. So just food for thought from Western Mass Climber. But anyways, okay, going back.
Yeah, 72 Western Mass Climber just said. It's still fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a half a foot. Jalen Turner can fucking jump in, bang, bang, jab, cross, and jump out. And I really feel that's what he needs to do to win this fight. But anyways, going on to our next topic.
Right. So with Conor, here's the thing. So he's been saying that it's already done. He's made the call's been made, something like that. And people are saying, as a result of him saying that, plus the UFC lawsuit settling for several $100 million as opposed to a multi-billion-dollar settlement, that now the UFC has the money freed up. They're ready to make an offer. They're ready to do whatever they need to do. However, Dana White recently went on a podcast with Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman over the weekend. And once again, despite what Conor's saying, is again restating that narrative. Now, I think it was filmed a little bit earlier because he says, all right, once the movie airs on March 21st, right, which it just aired last Thursday, we talked about it on Friday. Once the press tour is done, then they can sit down and talk. So it appears as though there's something going on here. McGregor saying one thing that seems to be in contrast to Dana White. It seems like he's making a play. He wants to get back. He's pushing, and I don't think he wants to renegotiate this contract. And it sounds like he's said he's got 2 fights left on the deal. That's it. And it seems very clear that Dana White wants him to extend that contract to some degree before signing. Anyways, it seems like a mess. I don't know what to expect. And then we see Michael Chandler saying, yes, the fight is definitely happening this summer. But I think he's just parroting what Conor's saying. I don't think he really knows. I think it's really the ball's in Conor's court, and they're trying to get this contract negotiation done. So, Justin, from the fighter perspective, here's what I'm trying to figure out. And maybe nobody's ever in the history of the sports been in this position. Well, what the heck do you think is going to happen? Because I don't think Conor wants to extend the contract. I think he wants to fight out his deal. Yet this could be devastating for the UFC if they can't, if he does leave, especially at this point in the game where he's still this popular, has some boxing matches. It's going to overshadow anything the UFC could put on. So I don't know what's going to happen here, and I'm really bummed out. I'm hoping this. Do you think they're going to come to a meeting of the minds, and we're actually going to see him fight again?
I'd like to think so. I do believe Conor McGregor is going to fight again, but again, I just don't see who he can beat, man. You know, as I went off on that guy, on Instagram, we talked about a little bit like, oh, well, he's fine not doing a co-main, and he's fine doing an undercard. He's fine. He just only wants to do 3 rounds. Like, dude, he's going to say whatever he has to say to stay relevant. But unfortunately, you got to look at his legacy. You know, a lot of people feel like Anderson Silva tarnished his legacy after being one of the greatest of all time. At one point, he was considered the greatest of all time. And then he ended up losing like 5, 6 in a row. And now people don't even like to talk to him. And anytime he gets brought up in the all-time great conversation, you know, people are like, oh, well, he lost to Michael Bisping. He lost to this guy. He lost to this guy. He lost to Nate Diaz. He tested positive for drugs. So a lot of people, I don't think so, but a lot of people say that it tarnishes legacy. Now, we go over Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's lost 3 or 4 fights in a row. What if he loses the next 2 fights? Now he loses 6 fights in a row. Now, does he want to tarnish his legacy, you know, like someone like Anderson Silva? Again, me being a hardcore fan, me being in the life, I don't think Anderson Silva's legacy is tarnished. But a lot of people that are fucking idiots, which 99% of the MMA population are fucking dumber than hell, will be like, oh, he can't be the great of all time. Dude, during his time, he was incredible. He was the 2-time champ. I believe he's the first person to become a 2-time champ in the UFC. Like, you can't take that away. But a lot of people will if he goes out and finishes his contract and goes 0-2.
Yeah, and it is a pretty ridiculous thing. If you think about it, why would losing later in your career when you're older or something have any impact on the great things that you did when you're in your prime or whatever the case may be? It should not change anything, but that's just a perception
I'll tell you
thing.
why. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because as the sport is building, every year the sport is building. It's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. We're getting more fans and more fans. Well, you're a diehard. You know more about the news than I do, and I do this every day. I just left the gym. I'm going back in an hour. Have you ever seen Anderson Silva fight in his prime?
I mean, no, not live. No.
So now take all these casual fans, because I've seen all Anderson Silva's fights in his prime. I saw when he fought Chael Sonnen both times. I saw when he fought Stephan Bonner. I saw when he fought the greats of the greats. I watched him come through. Now, you as a new fan, so let's say you never went back. I'm sure you have went back and watched some of those fights.
Yeah,
But let's say
100%.
you never have, and now you watch him fight, say this weekend, and he loses to One Eye Michael Bisping, or he loses to Nate Diaz and tests negative for drugs. You're gonna put this negative persona in your head. Oh, how
Right.
can this guy be considered one of the greatest of all time? He fucking sucks. No. You just didn't get to witness the great times and how
Right.
when Conor was back in his prime, knocking everybody out with one punch in 2013, 14, 15. We're talking 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. A lot of the fans that have come in the last couple, 2, 3 years, see him lose to Dustin Poirier twice, see him lose to Habib, see him, you know what I mean? Like break his leg. How can any of these new fans think he's the greatest of all time? I don't think he needs to tarnish his legacy. Of course, as from a fan, I want to see him fight. I want to see him get in there and mix it up. But with that being said, is that best for him? And I think a lot of MMA fans are so selfish because, like you and me, we want to see him fight. But is that good for him as a person? Is it good for him as an athlete? We're going to run his name. I mean, the UFC is going to use and abuse him until his name has zero credibility, and then they're just going to move on to the next guy that has credibility, and they're going to keep doing that. And I really hate that about the UFC is they try to get every dollar they can out of every fighter, and once they're done with that fighter, next fighter. Once they're done with that fighter, next fighter, and that's how they're doing it. And I really don't want to see Conor McGregor. And I'm not a super Conor fan. I like him a lot. I like watching him. He's entertaining. I always tune into his fights. But again, at the end of the day, he's a human being like me and you, and he needs to look out for himself, and he needs to, put himself in the best financial position he can, which he already has. But now, if that was me, fuck, dude, why would I fight anymore and just go out there and re-break my leg and have to go through surgery or get knocked out embarrassing or get another concussion or even get my ass beat but win somehow? You know what I mean? Like, why? I
Right.
mean, at the end of the day, why?
That's a really good point. I mean, it is true. Selfishly, by the way, I don't consider myself a new fan because I used to watch Tank and all the old school UFC videos.
Okay,
Yeah, when I was
in the last 10 years.
when I was in college, but then I used to love the no rules, just like two guys get in there, any weight class, whatever.
Sure.
When it first started transitioning into having weight classes and gloves and all that stuff, I was initially turned off by it because I'm like, wait, you've taken a pure fight now into like kind of more similar to boxing. So it lost some of the feel.
Keep in mind too, they had to do that to keep the sport legal because the commission had to come in to try to protect the fighters.
Yes.
No, and I have to. Hey, I got to kick off for 3 seconds. Because Ben just texted me. I'm picking him up at the airport. I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
No problem. So, and what I was going to say to everybody else is like, I think it's actually amazing now that I think about it, now that I become more knowledgeable about the sport. Now I train myself. I actually love all the regulations. I love the pads. I love the rounds. I think it just makes for a much better competition as opposed to when you have like sometimes 20, 30, 40-minute rounds of people just grappling. So I definitely now have come around, but I'm just letting you know, that's why I kind of took a break from it and I came back. I did see one Anderson Silva fight live. That was when he fought Israel Adesanya. So that was the only fight I saw live, and then the rest I've rewatched. By the way, I wanted to throw up, this is not on the topic list, but it should have been. I want to throw up a comment from Western Mass Climber. He says, could Conor chew his way out of his deal? Shout out to Igor da Silva. Now, the reason why I want to tell you about Igor da Silva, did you hear about this? The fighter that bit his opponent?
Somebody?
Yeah, okay.
That's crazy.
I want to show you. I'm going to show you guys.
Just ruined his whole life. Dude just ruined his whole life.
Dude, it's insane. Why would you do? Okay, I want to, because I've been waiting to talk to you about this because I want to get your thoughts on this. Hold on. First, like, everybody watch this. This is insane.
Severino landed.
See, right now he's biting his arm and he's trying to let the ref know, hey, I'm getting bit. So that's what Andre Lima's saying. Look.
5 takedowns in his Contender Series fight.
What's he saying?
I think he didn't like him grabbing on.
He's grabbing the fence again. You gotta touch him, ref.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. This is insane. Wait till you see. Look at this. Look at this.
You know he tattooed it, right?
My teeth.
Yeah. I remember back.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, yeah, come on.
What's happening? All right, so hold on. What is there? Is it like, I want to ask your thoughts. Is there any chance that this could be like, what is this? What kind of a person would do this as a fighter?
His life is over. His career is over. He's done fighting. Nobody will ever sign him ever. At least, maybe I don't even think a regional show or sign it'd be embarrassing.
This is like such a dirty tactic. I mean, have you ever heard of anybody doing this? I mean, why? Like, why would he do it? What is this?
I have heard of people doing it before. So let's say like and sometimes and there's been unintentional. Thank you so much. There's been times where it's unintentional. I don't need a bag. That's all right. There have been unintentional times, like when guys go for rear naked chokes. Sometimes the forearm will end up like in their mouth.
Yeah.
And guys, well, they'll get bite marks, from the forearm, but it's not because they're biting them. It's just because of the technique, and sometimes that's happened. And it's happened to me in training. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened where somebody's forearm will just like end up in your mouth and your bottom lip or your bottom teeth will kind of sink in, because once the forearm's in the mouth and they're squeezing, you can't really do anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
But unfortunately, in this situation, the dude was on his back, man, and he did it intentionally. This guy's a piece of shit human being. I can't imagine the frustration. We're talking about a child, bro. Like, you know who bites? 3-year-olds bite, 2-year-olds bite. You have a chance, and not to mention, you're in a dominant position on this guy's back, where if you really want to fuck him up, like, what a fucking idiot, and how dirty. What is he? I just can't imagine his thought process, bro. Like,
Me
hey,
neither.
if I fight this guy, maybe I can win this fight. Like, what? Was he losing
I
the
know.
fight? He's on the guy's back, so I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's so confusing. And maybe he thought he would distract him. And I don't know. But it's still, the whole thing is so bizarre. And then to bite that deep where he left teeth marks, it's crazy to me. I don't know. I don't know. It's just really weird.
I mean, like I said, dude, the guy ruined his life. His life in MMA is now over.
Yeah.
He'll never get a shot. His opponent got a tattoo of it, and Dana White gave his opponent the 50 grand bite bonus, which I thought was
awesome.
More than reasonable.
Yes.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that piece of shit. I don't even know that fucking piece of shit. And he's a fucking bitch because all the people out there that say MMA is so dirty and this and that, and, it's so barbaric. It's really not. Like, we all have so much respect for each other, whether we talk shit or not. At the end of the day, we have anybody that steps in the ring with me. Like, there's only been 1 or 2 times that I really didn't like my opponent. And even afterwards, like, it's fine. We regardless if you like him or not, we have mutual respect. But this guy has no respect from any fighter. I'm hoping that he got kicked out of his gym. I hope this guy never puts on MMA gloves ever again in his life. He is the person that makes the rest of us look bad.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. Let me just chime in as a fan, just from my perspective, and then we can move on to the next topic. The thing is, when people say if you're an MMA fan, you're a fan of violence, right? Oh, we're going to bring you maximum violence. I want to say, I actually don't think that's true. I don't want to see violence. I want to see a good match. I want to see good competition. Like, we don't want to see people just get beat up mercilessly. That's not it at all. That's not what the sport is. And this type of thing.
You're speaking for yourself. I want to see guys get fucked up.
Yeah, but
including myself. By the way, including myself. I love when I'm bleeding and getting fucked up because, dude, I'll be bleeding and I can feel it rushing down my face or in my eyes, and all I can think about is, dude, I look like a fucking badass right now. Let's fucking go.
It's true, but I'm saying in a well-matched fight where, fine, you're getting beaten up, but it's like you two have an even shot at the beginning. For example, Sean O'Malley just last week, last time when he beat, Chito Vera. Like that, Chito Vera got beat up, but that was an amazing fight. They were evenly matched. Chito's a great fighter. He didn't back down. That was a workshop, and that was incredible. But my point is, it's not just violence. We want to see competition. That's what I believe. And this is the purest form of competition is martial arts. And this guy, essentially, again, I'm not a fighter. I don't want to take it from that perspective. But, like, he's a cheater, in my opinion. And that should not be allowed. He should be out. And, I don't think he should be a part of the sport, at least in the UFC for at that point. But, yeah, and Western Mass Climber says, hard stance, Justin. I respect that. And, yeah, and I think you're right on point with that. Okay, I want to move on because we got 2 more topics that we'll try and touch on in the next 7 minutes. The first one is we got a pretty cool fight coming up this weekend that may have snuck under the radar. So if you guys remember, Vicente Luque was supposed to fight Ian Machado Gary not too long ago. That fight got called off, sadly, for Luque because he just got, Ian Gary was sick and they didn't give him a backup fighter or anything like that. So he had to have that fight scrapped. But now he's up against Joaquin Buckley, which is a pretty cool. If you remember Joaquin, you probably know him, but if you guys don't remember, he's had like some highlight reel knockouts. Very, very athletic fighter. What do you think about this matchup, or have you had a chance to think about it or look into it yet? And if so, what are your thoughts?
I haven't really looked into it, but I do know both guys. Actually, before on my when I first was trying to get into the UFC, I put my name down to fight Vincent Luque. Man, he was first getting
Really?
in. I was like, yeah, I was ready to go up to welterweight and fight this guy. This guy is an awesome fighter. He's very, very well
Very
rounded.
good.
Now you look at his opposition, Buckley. Another Michigan guy. I know he's training out in Michigan. He's been through Couture's a couple times. This guy is an athletic specimen, very explosive, very fast. You guys remember his insane knockout, the kick heard around the world when he hit that spinning back kick knockout. This is
Yeah.
a great striking matchup. I don't think any of these guys are going to come into this fight and try to grapple. I think it's going to be a striker's dream. And this is one of those fights that don't blink, because Buckley can knock you out in the first minute of the fight, or in the 25th minute of the fight. I'm sure it's only going to be 3 rounds, but in the first minute of the
Yeah.
fight, or the 15 minute. Now you got Vincent Luque, expert level precision striker. If Buckley tries something overly explosive, we might get a counter punch from Luque to end this fight as well. So guys, don't blink in this fight. It could end at any time.
Yes, you just hyped me up so much. I'm so excited for that fight this weekend. That's going to be really cool. All right, I can't wait. And there's one other fight that's going down this weekend that I thought we should definitely talk about, because this is a very interesting one. So Chris Weidman is coming back, and who knows, right? This could be his last fight. I don't think he said that, but he's fighting Bruno Silva. And yeah, like I'm really interested in this fight, because obviously Chris Weidman had that crazy tibia fracture where it was a clean break, similar to Anderson Silva and Conor McGregor, that very, very rare leg break. And he went through a lot of recovery. He's talked about how awful and horrendous that recovery was, and he's fought since. And in that last fight, I believe my recollection is he refractured. It wasn't a big fracture, but I think he refractured that leg. So, but he's still coming back. He's not shying away. And now he's at 39 years of age. I mean, what are your thoughts on something like this, continuing to fight after that injury, which we're hoping Conor can recover from as well, but continuing to fight even after refracturing? What do you think? What do you see going down? Oh, I think we lost Justin. Are you there? All right. So anyways, I'm really curious to hear Justin's thoughts. I'll tell you, here's what is fascinating to me, but also kind of scary, is again, he's got that serious injury. His recovery, at least from what we've heard compared to Conor's, was really traumatizing. A lot of pain, a lot of, oh wait, I think he's popping back on here. Hold on one second. We got this. All right, there we go. We're back in the mix. So I was just saying how this fight to me almost makes me anxious to see Chris Weidman return, especially after that injury, and him talking so openly about how difficult and horrible this recovery process has been to get that leg healed. But what do you think, especially considering he did refracture it slightly in the last fight?
Yeah, talking to Brad Tavares, I'm pretty close with Brad Tavares. Obviously, Extreme Couture native. He's been the team captain at our gym for a really long time. And, I talked to Brad after that fight, and I guess that, Weidman fractured his leg in the very first round. And if you recall, just chopped the fuck out of that leg. And, it was his front leg. But regardless, Brad told me that he fractured his leg in the first round. Just talk about the former champion, Chris Weidman, man. How durable is this guy? And, it really comes down to, Silva. I don't know much about his opponent. I don't know what his style would be. I'm not really sure what his game plan is going to be. But why is Chris doing this? Coming off a terrible tib fib fracture, going in, fighting Brad Tavares, breaking it again, and now he's coming back. I can only think that this guy maybe needs money, because right now his body isn't holding up. And why does he keep testing it? You know what I mean? That's, again, to come back from just that brutal leg break. I mean, that's another reason I think Conor's delaying his time too, is because you just can't just recover from that in 6 months and be 100%. So I really hope he's not doing this just for the financial aspect. But to me, I can't see any other reason why he'd be getting into the cage. I mean, maybe it's to prove something to himself, but obviously, the guy's never going to be a champion again. He can't make a title run. It doesn't matter what he says. He can't. He just can't. And I think he's just too one-dimensional. He's that old school guy being pushed out. He's 39 years old, man. It's the only thing I just hate seeing guys go in there like him, especially doing this because they ran out of money or something. He feels this is the way he can make a quick buck.
I could see it being that, but I also feel like there is some element of him. I bet you he wants to prove it to himself, and I could easily see him retiring after this fight. Just be like, hey, I'm not going to shy away from the fear of potentially fracturing it again. I'm going to give it one more go, and then I'm out. I mean, I'm just hypothesizing right now. He actually did an interview today with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour, but I haven't had a chance to hear it. I will have heard it by Friday. So I'm going to listen to it tonight. I can't wait for that, and then we can talk about it more. But let's just say, and I'm going to have to jump off right now because I got a 2 p.m. So I got a hard stop. But let's just say this. We have we got our prayers behind Chris Weidman. We want to see him do well. We want to see him have a great fight this weekend, and we'll definitely be tuning in. So that's it for our episode today, guys. Thank you so much for joining. If you haven't clicked that like button yet, please do so. And if you want to see more, make sure to click subscribe. And that is it. And we will see you in the next episode. Take it easy. All right.